Hey, what's up, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing representing the squad. And today we're going to go over an update on pure Monarchs. It's got the spice, of course. I think, honestly, the build that I had before, I really need to find that on my channel because I feel like that was the best build I had. I'm trying to bring this deck as close to how I had it before when I had it in its prime. I still think it's an awesome deck. It's fairly consistent. People be surprised how much advantage and pluses this deck can generate. It's just one of those decks that really has a solid toolbox and a lot of advantage. It does have an insane lockdown as well, and it's just able to steal wins against a lot of the current meta decks. And I should reiterate that, and as well as change my wording to not steal wins. It kind of has guaranteed wins almost. Just going, if it goes uncontested, it's really one of those decks that can be a dominant force against the current meta, especially because everything thrives off the extra deck. Everything needs the extra deck to even bring out some of this best plays. This deck kind of just auto beats BAs. It kind of just auto beats Trickstars and Gokis and Sky Strikers. It's just one of those decks, man. It's really good. But let's show you the main deck. So we've got 3 Erebus. Erebus is pretty broken. He basically, the main ones, the newer ones, they let you, you contribute summon them, of course. When you summon them, you get to mill 2 spells or traps that have Monarch in their name from your hand or your deck. From your hand or your deck to the grave, and then he shuffles a card from the hand, the field, or the graveyard back into the deck, and that does not target, and it does not destroy. So he gets rid of basically anything. Going first, he can Omega loop you by 1, and then his other amazing effect is while he's engraved in the main phase, you can discard a Monarch spell or trap to add any monster who has 2400 or more attack with 1000 defense. So he basically lets you add back any Monarchs from your grave to your hand. So once you have one engraved, you kind of just leave them there, and whenever your stuff dies, like your Majesty Fiends, your Karaz, your Caius, your Aether, you just recycle your Aether, you get everything back. It's really insane. He's busted. And then we have 1 Aether. This card went to 1 because it was too powerful with the Stormforth. It was just way too broken. You just like summon Prime Monarch, and then you go Stormforth, tribute your opponent's monster, kind of out their board, and then bring out Karaz, generate so much advantage. This card's insane. It summons itself during your opponent's main phase, by the way. And then it specials 1 from deck. It's just really, really good. Aether's amazing. Aether's more aggressive than Erebus, but Erebus is kind of like a tank. It's solid, it's well-rounded, it's not really bad at anything. It's good at a lot of different things, whereas Erebus is pure. Aether is purely like for aggression. And then we have 1 Caius. I like Mega Caius a lot. It outs cards. It can basically banish 2 cards, which is really broken. And then it'll still inflict 1000 if it was a dark, but it always will banish 2 cards. That helps you a lot. And then we have Karaz. When I picked up this core, I only was able to get 1. If I had my original Monarch core, I had 3 Karazes, and I think I would still play maybe 2. I like Karaz a lot. It gives you the choice whether you want to destroy your opponent's cards or not, but either way, whichever player who gets their cards destroyed gets to draw that same number of cards. So I like to use this in tandem with, popping, your Prime Monarch, some of your extra clogged up, like, returns in the Monarchs, etc., etc. You can even destroy itself, so you kind of just cycle through your deck a lot more and get to some of your better cards. Like, you want to dig to establish yourself, and what you're digging, the kind of setup you're digging for is you're trying to get Domain alongside with the March of the Monarch, so you kind of just have a pretty powerful boss monster that can be targeted or destroyed, and then your opponent can go into the extra deck, and then you can kind of still shut them down with some of your other stuff, like using Escalation in tandem with your Majesty's Fiend, which we played 2 Majesty's Fiends. You can get away with 1. I actually play 2 because I like to hard draw it. I don't always want to have to search it, like be forced to search it, because sometimes I want it to be my first summon. But you normally, once you search this out, you want to hold it and summon it during your opponent's main phase via Escalation, and that gives it a lot more power. And it also gives it a lot more of an interference and / disruption, but also it doesn't restrict you, because when you summon this on your turn, you can't get Idea's effect when she goes to the grave to get back your Pantheism. You don't get anything else. Like, you're done for the turn as well, because it affects both. So this is just a floodgate. If you can get this as well as your Domain with the March, it's like really hard to get over that, because you have to pick apart the March first, and then you have to go after the Majesties, and then you go after the other tribute summon monster, then you go after the Domain. It's a lot of work to do, and then after you deal with all that, you still have to make somewhat of a board. If not, because Monarchs can break them. They're just really aggressive. They're one of those decks. It kind of is Helmet. Well, it was Helmet, but when it got its newer support, maybe 3 years ago, I think, or 2, it became a combo-centric deck. Those are your tribute summonable monsters. If I had Vanity's Fiends, I would probably play 3 Vanity's Fiends, but I have no Vanity's Fiends whatsoever, and that's sad to say. I should have at least like 10, right? Then we have 3 Ideas. Idea is really amazing. I really like how they are basically like the vassals and or the disciples of the bigger guys. Like this is Aether's disciple, and then Eidos belongs to Erebus. But it's basically your tour guide, and its effect engrave is amazing to loop your one pantheism, so you keep using the same pantheism over and over. Like it's almost like it doesn't matter that pantheism's not at 3. Only difference it will make is like drawing more than 2 cards off of pantheism on one turn, but you can always guarantee a pantheism for your next turn every single time. It's really amazing. Then we have 3 Eidos. Eidos is really good as well. The additional tribute that you get, it matters. It's very important because you waste your normal idea, obviously. And then him being able to bring himself, banish himself from the grave and recur the idea, that kind of just guarantees you a follow-up. So it allows you, once this deck sets up and establishes, even if you break the board, this deck has so many follow-up plays, so many ways to reestablish, so many different recursions, recuperations you can even call, that it's just really one of those decks. You have to OTK it. You can't just slowly try to beat it. Like, it's not one of those decks. And then I do personally play 1 Mithra. I like Mithra a lot. It's just a free summon. It allows you to get the extra tribute as well. I really do like Mithra. Mithra in its soul is just a extender, and it kind of just helps you when you don't have enough of the vassals, right? Because you only have 6 of these. When you have when you factor in the Rhoda in the 1-for-1, you're basically playing like 8 vassals, and then this would be the 9th one. That's it for your monsters. Now for spells, 3 Domain of the Monarch. This card is just insane. This deck was like so dominant in its prime when it got the new support and everything was at 3. This was one of the reasons. Stormforth was another reason, and then Aether was another reason, and then Pantheism. It had just a powerful toolbox, some insanely one-sided spells and traps. Then we have 3 Foolish Burial Goods. Foolish Burial Goods is too insane in this deck. It has a lot of targets. It really does. It gives you that longevity play through your Prime Monarch, so you have that free tribute, that free body to protect you, defend you from attacks, etc. It even cycles out your Pantheism, so it's like basically you're playing 7 Pantheisms. Foolish gets you Pantheism, Tenacity gets you Pantheism. It's a really, really good. This is a good starter up. You normally, all you really need is 1 Foolish, and you'll be good after that, because the spell or trap that you send gets looped. Like, this will always bring itself back, and Pantheism will always get added from your Banished Zone back to your hand. So once you resolve 1 Foolish, you kind of already have that established. And 3 Tenacity as well, because it basically searches any of their spells and traps. Very consistent. Then we have 3 Returns. It searches the monsters on summon. You can even mask your Chain Links. Because some of the Monarchs get their effects on summon, so if you feel like the effect is more important than the search off this, you can always put this as Chainlink 2 and the summon effect as Chainlink 1. But this will allow you to keep searching. It's really good. Then we have 3 Allures. I personally like the Allure tech, that extra draw power, and then you always have those extra dead Erebuses and the Eidoses that you really don't need, and this helps you to just exchange them for some better, newer cards. So the 3 Allures. I used to play Gofu when this deck, when Gofu was at 3, and Gofu helped this deck a lot as well. Because you could just special Gofu, normal Karas, pop the tokens, and just get that, basically that +2. Really good. And then the 1 Pantheism. Pretty much all these spells here are going to cycle through your deck, the 3, 6, 9, 12, and then 13. The Pantheism's broken. I mean, it's a +1, literally. Like, it was one of the very first, like, +1s ever. It came out, I think, before Desires came out, I believe. But Pantheism is just redundant. It's such a good card. Even if it's not at 3, it's always going to keep this deck alive. And then to kind of help protect the lockdown, you do play the 2 Marches. You don't want to break. You can play 3 of it just because you want to be able to reveal 3 off of your Pantheism. But that will seclude into more break hands. The drawing 1 after you already have 1. Like, once you have 1, you don't really need any more. And also, you can recycle your banished Monarch spell or traps with your idea, so you really don't need more. Then we have the Stormforth. Stormforth is still insane, even in this deck, because it's searchable, spot removal, it doesn't target, it doesn't destroy, it's really good. And you can recycle it, so you can Stormforth multiple times through the duration of 1 duel. I play a couple extenders, just 1 Restoration and 1 1-for-1. I feel like Restoration is a really nice card. It's kind of situational, and it's hard once return. And at the same time, just because it's like newer support, it doesn't mean that you should go crazy and make your whole deck based on Restoration. Like, I've seen builds that literally played 3 of this, and like their whole deck was all about this. you can search this and recycle it, so you don't need more than one. You won't have a problem where, oh, I already used one, I need it again. You can always get this card back. It's just a really nice Monster Reborn, basically, that allows you to tribute one of your bigger guys via just using the monster that you brought off of this. It does help you to be more aggressive as well. It can produce extra damage for your OTKs. It can bring back Karats, etc., etc. But it's still a one-of, in my opinion. Then we have 3 Prime Monarchs. This trap has so much longevity. It basically recycles your Monarch spells and traps as well. So this is why you'll never run out of your one-ofs. Why you'll never really need to play 2 of this. It puts 2 Monarch spells or traps from your grave back to your deck and lets you draw one. It's basically like an Emerald. It's soft once per turn, not like once per copy, I believe. Yeah, it's just soft once per turn, so once per copy, and not hard once per turn. And you can do it on your turn and then on your opponent's turn, and you just kind of just get that advantage, those pluses. And then once it's in grave, you can summon it from grave by banishing another spell or trap that has Monarch in its name. And that, I believe that summoning clause is that effect is the only one that's once per turn. And it helps you with your escalation, which we play 2 of and not 3 because this card can break. But when you have like this engraved and escalation, you can basically flip your escalation, summon this using its own effect because it is a trap, it's a spell speed 2, and you contribute this for your Majesty's Fiend, and then you just lock out all monster effects in general. And that concludes the main deck and the deck profile. This deck does not play an extra deck, obviously. I think I played a little bit more spicy text. I just don't remember how I used to play this deck. I'm trying to remember because I had a really crazy Monarch build. I mean, it was so crazy. Like, people came to me for advice on building Monarchs all the time. Like, I'm trying to remember, but I think this is like a shell of what it used to be from what I had. I think I had a way better build than this, but I do like this build as well because this build's more turbo than anything. It's really consistent. It's one of those builds that doesn't break because you know how Monarchs can break. This build doesn't really break. It'll only break when you draw 1 too many of your 3-ofs, but you got to think of it like, what are your 3-ofs? You know, they're all really good cards, right? So yeah, that concludes the deck profile. God bless you guys. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells, and definitely stay tuned for future content. I've got a lot more coming for you. Peace.